A textbook definition of monopolistic competition is a market structure in which there are many firms selling products that are similar but not identical. That means within these markets each firm has a monopoly over the specific product it makes, but each firm's products are still competing for the same customers. Key features of a monopolistically competitive market include a wide range of sellers, differentiation between products, and free entry and exit for producing firms. This definition links directly back to the article. The article introduces the staggeringly high number of sellers in Australia's coffee industry, revealing the number of businesses selling coffee to be approaching 6,700, with not a single one of those firms holding more than a 5% market share. This helps to define the coffee industry as exhibiting monopolistic competition due to its wide range of sellers, each with a low market share. The coffee industry is also relatively easy to break into, with very low barriers to entry, the article describing firms' efforts to minimise their establishing costs through leasing premises, equipment, furniture, and fittings. Not only does this make it easy to break into the industry, the minimal funds each firm has locked away in its premises and equipment allows them to exit the industry with relative ease. This further defines the coffee industry as one displaying monopolistic competition. As our final classifier of monopolistic competition, each individual coffee business produces their own unique coffee. The article states that the quality of coffee is crucial to consumer choice, with factors such as coffee brand, texture, and temperature influencing customer decisions. This shows that there is a difference in the products available in the market as provided by each business. This leads us to our options to answer question 1. Option A, while correctly identifying a market with high levels of competition and low barriers to entry as indicators of monopolistic competition, misses the mark in stating each business sells the same type of coffee. As we know, monopolistic competition requires each firm to supply products that, while similar, are still unique, which is evidenced in the article through the consumer's wide range of options. Option B is correct in only one of its 3 classifiers of the coffee industry as monopolistically competitive. While it correctly identifies each firm's production of unique coffee, it also states the industry has medium barriers to entry and low levels of competition. These statements are both wrong, as in order for an industry to be defined by its monopolistic competition, it must have both low barriers to entry and high levels of competition. This is displayed in the article through the industry's wide range of competitors and relative ease of entry and exit. Option C, in the same manner as option B, only correctly identifies one aspect of the coffee industry's monopolistic competition. Again describing the industry's wide range of unique coffee, option C incorrectly states that the industry also has low levels of competition and high barriers to entry. As we know from our response to option B, for an industry to display monopolistic competition, it must have high levels of competition and low barriers to entry. We also know that the coffee industry displays both of these characteristics. This leaves us with option D. Option D describes the coffee industry as having a high level of competition, which we know to be true due to its astonishingly high number of competing firms, 6,700 of them. It also identifies the industry's low barriers to entry. We know from the article firms minimise their overhead costs through leasing premises and equipment, allowing easy entry into the market. Finally, option D states that coffee within the industry is of differing quality. This is true, as evidenced in the article.
In terms of question 2, there are essentially 2 key components. Firstly, that the market portrays the correct structure for an individual coffee supplier in the long-run equilibrium before the exit of Starbucks from the market, highlighted via the black lines. While secondly, the correct answer must also exhibit the short-run equilibrium for this coffee supplier after Starbucks closed its Australian stores. Starbucks exiting the Australian coffee market has a short-run impact of an increase in the demand for the remaining individual coffee suppliers. This occurs as now former Starbucks customers will be forced to now find a new coffee producer, hence increasing the demand for the remaining firms, but only in the short term. This shift in demand is highlighted here, where an increase in the price from P1 to P2 and an increase in quantity from Q1 to Q2 sets the new equilibrium point at P2 and Q2. This effect should be seen on the correct answer to this question, illustrated via the red lines on the graph. Additionally, an increase in the demand curve will also cause the same increase in the marginal revenue curve. This is due to both increases in price from P1 to P2 and quantity from Q1 to Q2, and since marginal revenue is derived from both price and quantity, it would shift the MR curve by the same amount as demand shifted. In order to determine whether this is the correct graph to answer the question, the market must begin in the long-run equilibrium for monopolistic competition and highlight the change of an increase in demand with the correct equilibrium point. The equilibrium point in a monopolistic competitive firm is found by the intersection of marginal revenue and marginal cost, which gives the quantity, and the price is given by where this quantity meets the firm's demand curve. Hence, for graph A, it initially resides in the long-run equilibrium, as quantity is given by the intersection of MC and MR with the corresponding price on the firm's demand curve. However, graph A depicts a decrease in demand for the remaining firms once Starbucks has left the market, which is not the correct outcome in the short term. Thus, graph A is incorrect. Similarly to graph A, graph B highlights the correct long-run equilibrium point of a profit-maximizing, monopolistically competitive firm. However, the short-run change of Starbucks' exit from the market for this individual coffee supplier is incorrect. This is because the market is not producing at the profit-maximizing quantity, as the market outcome illustrated in graph B is where the marginal cost equals the new demand curve. Additionally, graph B portrays a decrease in demand, the opposite effect that we are looking for. Hence, graph B is also incorrect. Graph C portrays the correct long-run equilibrium point for a monopolistically competitive firm, as this firm is producing at their profit-maximizing quantity where marginal revenue equals marginal cost with price on the firm's demand curve. Graph C also depicts the short-run change of Starbucks' exit as an increase in consumer demand. This is the correct effect in the short term, as now consumers cannot purchase from Starbucks and are hence shifted towards the remaining firms in the industry. Furthermore, graph C correctly illustrates this firm's short-term profit-maximizing quantity, as it is where the new marginal revenue curve meets the original marginal cost curve, as marginal cost is not affected in the short term by an increase in consumer demand. This profit-maximizing quantity also highlights the new price for this firm, as it is where this level of output meets the firm's new demand curve. Hence, graph C is considered a correct answer to this question. In order to be sure that we have found the correct answer to this question, graph D must also be considered. Graph D again correctly illustrates the market outcome before Starbucks' departure, as the price is given by the intersection of the ATC curve and the firm's demand curve, with quantity given by the point where marginal cost and revenue are equal. Once Starbucks has left the market, graph D portrays this as an increase in demand, which is the correct short-term effect. However, what makes this graph incorrect is that the quantity shown is where the new demand curve meets the original marginal cost curve. The correct market outcome would be where the new marginal revenue curve meets marginal cost, and not the demand curve shown in graph D. Hence, graph D is also incorrect. Therefore, graph C best illustrates the short-run impact of Starbucks exiting the Australian coffee market and is the most correct answer to this question.
Question 3. In the article, Rob indicates that local operators are able to compete with larger chains through the use of value-added offerings such as customer loyalty cards or coffee and meal specials. What degree of price discrimination would you best describe this as? A. First degree, B. Second degree, C. Third degree. A. First degree. Before I answer this question, I'll define first degree price discrimination. First degree price discrimination, also known as perfect price discrimination, occurs when a firm charges the maximum possible price for each unit, in which firms charge consumers exactly the price they are willing to pay for a good. In such a market, consumer surplus is completely eliminated. However, the firm's profits increase and total welfare increases as the quantity of goods produced and sold increase. In this case, A is incorrect, as local operators are not charging the maximum possible price for each unit. Local operators are only able to compete with larger chains, as it charges lower prices in the form of meal specials and loyalty cards, and at the same time produces high quality output. Hence, it would not make sense for the answer to be A, as local operators are not charging the highest possible price per unit, and consumer surplus is not completely eliminated. B. Second degree. Second-degree price discrimination occurs when a firm charges a different price for different quantities consumed, such as quantity discounts on bulk purchases. Larger quantities are available at a lower unit price. This allows companies to extract some additional consumer surplus from consumers with a higher demand by giving them a discount on larger quantities. In this case, B is the correct answer, as consumers are charged discounted prices in the form of value-added offerings and specials when they purchase in bulk. Furthermore, local operators are able to compete with larger chains as they gain loyalty from consumers, which in the long run increases profits. Thus, B is the correct answer, as local operators charge a different price for different quantities, consumed through their value-added offerings and coffee or meal specials. Finally, this leaves the last option, C, third degree. Third degree price discrimination occurs when firms charge different prices to different groups of customers. The most common forms of third degree price discrimination are discounts based on demographic criteria. For example, age, income, size of family, location, or time. Third degree price discrimination is common in places such as cinemas and theme parks that separate their ticket allocations between youth and adults and charge different prices. Answer C is incorrect, as local operators are not charging different prices to different consumers. They are only charging discounted prices at a certain quantity. Hence, answer C cannot be correct, as different groups of consumers are not identified and is not the reason local operators are able to compete with larger chains of coffee suppliers. Furthermore, prices are not charged differently in terms of demographic criteria. Thus, B is the only correct solution. Question 4. In the article, Rob indicates that local operators are able to compete with larger chains through the use of value-added offerings such as customer loyalty cards or coffee and meal specials. What other types of price discrimination could coffee establishments use? Price based on quality of goods. Coffee establishments could use various types of price discrimination, one being price based on quality of goods. This occurs when there is a difference in quality of goods, such as a higher price being charged for coffee from a single origin in contrast to a lower price for a house blend. Similarly, premium pricing is where premium products are priced at a level that is well beyond their marginal cost. For example, a regular cup of coffee might be priced at $1, while premium coffee is priced at $2.50. This discriminates against those who simply do not have the funds to purchase higher quality coffee. Coupons. Coupons are used to distinguish consumers by their reserve price. Companies increase the price of a good, and individuals who are not price sensitive will pay the higher price. Coupons allow price sensitive consumers to receive a discount. This sort of price discrimination discriminates against those who do not have the time to collect coupons, in contrast to those who are able to collect coupons. Furthermore, coffee firms can utilize this form of price discrimination to encourage price sensitive consumers to purchase coffee when prices are raised. Memberships. Another form of price discrimination coffee establishments can utilize is memberships. Memberships involve the sales and offers for members of loyalty clubs. This form of price discrimination discriminates against those who do not have to partake in loyalty programs. For example, at a certain quantity of coffees bought, consumers are able to purchase their next good at a discount. This type of discrimination advocates loyalty towards coffee establishments and raises revenue in the long run.
In addition to these methods of price discrimination, coffee businesses can also introduce an age-based pricing system. This kind of system involves providing discounts to certain members of a firm's customer base that would otherwise be discouraged from purchasing a good by its price. In making their coffee more affordable to these groups of people, coffee firms can open up the market for their good, attracting a new set of customers. This allows them to maximize their revenue as they will sell more coffee, where the reduced price is negated by the number of coffees they're now selling. A prime example of this is a student discount. A coffee business can appeal to students that would otherwise not buy their products due to high prices. In providing this discount, these businesses will make their products more accessible to a new market. A coffee business could also maximize their profits by charging different amounts for their products based on the location in which they're sold. People in different locations are willing to pay different prices for the same good, and in taking advantage of this, firms can ensure they maximize profits. For example, a cafe in the middle of a city surrounded by offices will be able to charge more for coffee than one selling the same products in a quiet suburb. This is because the people visiting the city cafe will be willing to pay more for the convenience of a coffee near their place of work. A suburban cafe will experience less of this type of traffic and will therefore have to charge less for their coffees to draw in customers. This demonstrates the need to price discriminate based upon location.